It wasn't the first time Andrew boarded the small plane, but 5 hours later it was certainly his first time on a life raft. After having been in the water for several hours, his spirits buoyed as he saw land in front of the rising sun. With a favorable current and using a modified surfer stroke for a day and a half, he finally reached his target and rode the last 30 yards on a small wave. He secured the tiny raft and spelled "help" in large letters using several fallen palm fronds. When finished, he walked southward along the shore in search of water, or people, or a village, or anything. With the sun halfway down compared to when he landed, he built a small pyramid using rocks near the beginning of a straight stretch of beach. Upon returning to his makeshift camp, he took a few minutes to locate a good spot to spend the night. He let the air out of his raft and used it as a blanket. When morning came, the parched Andrew continued his search, this time starting his walk in a northerly direction. Roughly 4 hours later, he came across his pyramid. Now he knew it really was an island and there were no streams of fresh water flowing into the sea. He turned inland and climbed to the top of a rock-capped hill. He figured the most promising place for water was what seemed a low spot basically in the direction of his camp. Again he came up empty. Although his body called for something to drink, he knew he would not make it through the cold of the night without the raft, which had already saved him more than once. The morning found Andrew wandering the island's interior, desperately searching for something to drink. Hours later, the sun and deprivation had taken its toll. The only thing that kept him going was the thought of the last picture he had taken of his wife and 4-month-old son. He could see every detail, including the natural flip of her hair over her left shoulder. He wondered if this was how life would end as it became hard to concentrate. Everything in his mind seemed an unclear mess, completely nonsensical. With what seemed his last bit of consciousness, he crawled to the shade of a tree, curled up, prayed for his family as he pictured his wife one last time, and closed his eyes. Andrew had no idea how long he'd been out when someone or something standing over him holding an oversized ceremonial mask on a stick in front of its face startled him. For the first few seconds, Andrew had no idea what to think, but somehow knew this man, angel, or hallucination, was not to be feared. Whatever it was motioned Andrew to follow. He complied with energy summoned from an unknown source. It led him down a large but shallow hole, at the bottom of which was a most welcome small puddle. Andrew dropped and quickly drank it. When he looked up, he somehow was not astonished to discover he was once again alone. Andrew thought it must have been his imagination or his spirit, but then it had taken him directly to this real puddle. Looking down at the damp stone, he noticed water was seeping back, and it had already partially replenished itself. It would supply all the water he would need. Back at camp, he prepared stacks of tinder, leaves, and wood to be used for signal fires. Upon further exploration, he found the entrance to a cave he would use as shelter, and over the next few months found some things he could safely eat and a couple that he should not. Almost unbelievably, with the passage of time, his confidence grew in the thought that he would one day be reunited with his small but beautiful family. Day 184 was the best. Andrew scrambled to light the signal fires, but there was almost no need. A huge three-masted sailboat was headed straight for him. Once aboard and after an A-plus dinner, Andrew was asked about the only possession he had brought with him from the island. He explained the most important events that had transpired after the emergency landing at sea. Andrew then carefully told his eager listeners that he had come across a piece of redwood planking about 2 feet long. He had known exactly what to do with it. The mental image of the mask had been slowly fading. The washed-up chunk of wood was too narrow to attempt a reproduction of the mask, but not its profile. Weeks later, it was finished, but in need of being dried. Andrew suspended it safely over the fire. He still wondered who or what was behind the mask. The answer came when he looked at the flickering shadow of the mask on the cave's ceiling.